My coach of the year, early on last year, I was leaning towards going with the 49ers head coach, Kyle Shanahan. The 49ers had injuries everywhere, and Kyle was still coaching his butt off, getting his team to be competitive. I'm like, this is a really, really impressive coaching performance. But as the year went on, it became very, very obvious who the NFL's coach of the year was, in my opinion. So my 2020 coach of the year was, in fact, the Cleveland Browns head coach, Kevin Stefanski. So 2 years ago, before Kevin Stefanski joined Cleveland, the Browns were 6-10. Baker Mayfield, their quarterback, was an interception machine. But the roster was largely the same. They still had Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett. Like, the core of players was largely the same 2 years ago. So the Browns just needed a head coach. Now, sure, the Browns added, I think roughly, there's more than this, but roughly 3 key players they added. Tight end Austin Hooper. They added 2 tackles in the offensive line, Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills. That makes a huge impact, having a right tackle and a left tackle solidified. But the biggest addition the Cleveland Browns made in 2020 was hiring their head coach, Kevin Stefanski. He made everything look right in Cleveland. I mean, 2 years ago, people thought Baker Mayfield was an awful quarterback. And getting a new head coach made Baker look good. Suddenly people are like, oh, okay. Even the people who've been the harshest critics of Baker were like, he looks pretty good right now. And Kevin Stefanski built the Browns offense to fit what his players do best. With Stefanski, his play design, his leadership, the Browns went to their first playoff game since 2002, and they won their first playoff game since 1994. And in that, by the way, in that victory, they beat their division rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, it was so glorious. I can only imagine how delighted Cleveland Browns fans were. And frankly, it appears that Kevin Stefanski has done what I thought was impossible. It appears like he's turning around the Cleveland Browns. That's a huge deal. I'm 24 years old, and I don't remember when I was like 5 years old when the Browns went to the playoffs in 2002. For my entire life, as I've been aware of football, my whole life, the Browns have been an abysmal, awful mess of a franchise. Just terrible. And so what Kevin Stefanski showed, yes, great play design, good leadership, all this stuff, but he also gave the NFL an idea that, the Browns don't have to be awful. Oh, wow. So he took a team that was largely the same from 2019 to 2020, a team that went 6-10, took them to 11-5. He made the Browns a winning football team again. And I think for that alone, let alone all the good stuff he did as a coach, leadership, play design, putting people in the right situation, that is why Kevin Stefanski is my 2020 NFL Coach of the Year. All right, guys, it's time to hear from you. Let's go to Ask Zach, my favorite part of the show. It's where I read questions from the audience. In case you don't know how it works, go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. You give $1 a month. You can give more if you want to. Please do. It literally helps pay my rent. But $1 a month gives you access to submit questions on Patreon. Tom writes in and says, Kevin Stefanski has got to be Coach of the Year. Winning a road playoff game from his couch just goes to show how much of an impact he had on the organization during the rest of the year. I forgot about that. Yeah, remember, Kevin Stefanski got COVID and he couldn't, or was exposed to COVID, and wasn't even the coach, in the game during the Pittsburgh Steelers playoff game. I totally forgot about that. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. It does show the impact he had on that organization, what they did, what he did foundationally for that team. So, Musical Brew, Tom, Musical Brew asked for what's the dark horse team. The Cleveland Browns were the surprise of the year. I did not believe. I like Cleveland. I wanted Stefanski to do well. I root for Baker Mayfield. I could not have predicted they would do as well as they did, 11-5, and win a playoff game, let alone make the playoffs. Oh my goodness! It was so much fun to watch Cleveland last year, and I hope it continues to grow and climb in Cleveland.